And now back to you, NT. Can you tell us more about the island of Madagascar, where one of the world's strangest animals live?
Sure, Sharon. Lemurs are only found in Madagascar, and almost 94% of all species of lemurs are under threat, in part due to human loss or habitat loss at the hands of humans. Our eco-hero this week is a professor from Germany and the focus of his research. Pt2 regularly travels to Madagascar and helped to set up an association that's working to improve the lemur's chances of survival.
Autumn in Kirindi Forest. The rainy season has come to an end, and everything is still a lush green in this usually dry, deciduous forest. Lemurs only live in the forests of Madagascar. These men are hot on their tracks. They want to get hold of a afrfica, the largest lemur in this forest. A perfect catch. The lemur is measured and weighed, and a transmitter is attached to its body.
He's male. We know exactly what he's done since birth. That's a benefit of marking these animals individually. We can get very detailed information about them.
Peter Kappeler is a professor at the German Primate Center of Göttingen University. He has been conducting research into lemurs in Kirindi for more than 20 years and runs the Primate Center's field station in the forest. 8 species of lemur live here, including the extremely rare narrow-striped mongoose. How do lemurs interact with other lemur species? How do they live in their environment? There are still many questions left unanswered about the behavior of the lemurs. But how much time is left to find out more? Both the forest and its inhabitants are endangered. 10 kilometers away, at a fork in the road, the residents of a nearby village sell their produce, mostly corn, some melons. The forest provides them sustenance, even as they slowly contribute to its destruction. The forest was burnt down to plant corn and peanuts, but the soil is already depleted, after just a few harvests.
It's depressing as you can imagine it would be. What's frustrating too is that it's not evil corporations here setting up oil plantations. It's the poor rural population who have to try to make a living somehow.
A nearby village, like everywhere in Madagascar, its population is growing. People know that the forest is disappearing. It will be here for another 20 or 30 years, perhaps. What then?
We depend on wood. Our houses, the furniture, it's all made of wood. If you want to sell something, it's wood. We also cook with wood charcoal. When there's nothing left, people will move on. That's what will happen.
The researchers have helped set up a nursery where the first seedlings are being planted. The rapidly growing trees will alleviate pressure on the forest.
This is just a drop in the bucket. There are so many children here, and the only hope is that we can raise awareness among them and make sure that they look after the trees, that they develop a sense of responsibility for nature. Otherwise, it won't work.
The researchers will continue their efforts. Preserving the Kirindi forest is essential. Otherwise, the lemurs have no chance of survival.
Farmers account for the bulk of Nigeria's rural population. Their main intention may be to feed their families, but to do it well, they must know and understand the soil and how to get the most out of it. The Smallholders Farmers Rural Radio is trying to help with daily agricultural programming. The station broadcasts everything from environmental farming techniques to business advice and daily market information. This community radio service in southeastern Nigeria educates and entertains. Let's tune in for a moment.
Our radio drama this week talks about mixing browsers and grazers. Please listen, learn, and send us feedback.
Nnemeka Ikegwonu is the brains behind the radio initiative designed to reach out to Nigeria's farmers and teach them about sustainable farming methods. Smallholder Farmers Rural Radio reaches 3,300 listeners in around 6 communities in southeastern Nigeria.
In the area of the right practice, the right spacing of crops is something that is very relevant. It's part of the things we teach farmers on radio, how to apply fertilizer and when to apply fertilizer. We are teaching farmers different methods in post-harvest management of grain.
Agriculture accounts for just over 20% of Nigeria's GDP. But a large size of the country's working population is employed in the sector. One major problem farmers say is flooding.
This flood issue, in fact, it has been a problem because of weather changes. As we all in Africa witnessed some years ago that things are not moving as expected. On that note, it affects agric.
61-year-old farmer Paul Ayim cultivates mainly yam, rice and cassava on his 3-acre farm in Ebonyi State in southern Nigeria. Even with the crude method of farming he has known all his life, he's able to produce 40 to 50 bags of rice every year. But he says financing is the problem.
The problem of farmers in Nigeria is nobody supporting them with finance. Nobody. If they bring the finance, those who live there on the table will go and share that money. No one will reach our hand.
As well as broadcasting from the station, Ikegwonu goes out to hear what the people think. He's convinced that since he started his radio show in 2007, he's had a positive influence on people's actions.
In doing this work, one thing I have identified is the strength of community decision. When a community comes in and says that everybody comes in by 10 p.m., in a community, people rebel against that law, but everybody at the end of the day sticks to it.
It's not only fertilizers, seeds and weed killers that Nigerian farmers need to know about. Due to climate change, it's important for them to learn about improving farming techniques and how they can better adapt.